This is purely a journalistic point of view. Nothing more has been said in this video other than that of which has been reported by various media sources and backed up with sources seen at the end of this video.
Wrestling has been known for its racist angles and grossly insensitive portrayal of minorities, so it should come as no surprise minorities have complained about unequal treatment both in and out of the ring. World Championship Wrestling was rocked by a lawsuit claiming racial discrimination in terms of pushes and pay, as well as a culture of racism behind closed doors. However, was there any substance to these claims? Join us now as Behind the Titantron examines the WCW racism lawsuit. While the subject of racism in wrestling is too complex to cover in a short video, a brief mention is necessary to establish context for purposes of the lawsuit. Professional wrestling, like any other form of American entertainment, has a history of racist portrayals, whether it's African American wrestlers being depicted as having naturally hard heads, their depictions as hustlers and pimps, i.e. Crime Time and The Godfather, sneaky Asian wrestlers who speak broken English, or Latino wrestlers who speak broken English, are portrayed as thugs or have fiery tempers. To be fair, wrestling has traditionally stereotyped many of its characters, whether it's dumb hillbillies, evil Russians, or money-hungry femme fatales. Still, should this excuse racist depictions of minorities? At the same time, some wrestlers and professional wrestling promoters have not shied away from promoting minorities or breaking race barriers. Wrestler Sputnik Monroe took a stand against segregation in Memphis, Tennessee. Monroe, who was white, was a hated heel, but he was so over he was able to force promoters to allow black patrons to sit wherever they wanted in the arena. They'd been previously limited to the balcony. Promoter Bill Watts brought in African American star the Junkyard Dog and gave him a monster push, building him up as a main eventer that appealed to all audiences. At the same time, Watts was known for racist remarks. In a 2009 interview, Paul Heyman recalled a meeting with Watts during both men's time in WCW. "I'd never met Watts before," Heyman recalled with a terse lip. "The first time I met him was when he became the head of WCW. We weren't 2 minutes into our conversation when he asked me where my beanie was," referring to an offensive way to a yarmulke. He then stated comparing me to a manager back in the day called Izzy Slapowitz. Of course, given Watts' outspoken comments on race and homosexuality, he might be likened to Chris Rock's adage, "America is like your uncle that paid for your college, but molested you." Regardless, race in wrestling emerged as a legal issue thanks to the WCW lawsuit. The WCW lawsuit involved a number of wrestlers and talent, including Harrison Norris, aka Hardbody Harrison, Kazuo Ono, aka Sonny Ono, Claude Patterson, aka Thunderbolt Patterson, Bobby Walker, Lester Spate, aka Mighty Rasta, William Worthen, Bothan Sangsiphon, Darren Easterling, Rick Reeves, and Marshall Davis. Attorney Carrie Ichter, a partner in the Buckhead law firm of Meadows, Ichter and Trigg, represented 10 wrestlers in the suit, including 9 African Americans and 1 Asian wrestler. In a 2002 article with the Atlanta Business Chronicle, Attorney Ichter stated the claims could reach $2 million each. The defendants were facing a potentially costly judgment. According to the court papers, the defendants sued World Championship Wrestling Incorporated and all or some of the following: Turner Sports Incorporated, Turner Entertainment Group Incorporated, and Turner Broadcasting System Incorporated. More than 10 WCW workers participated in the lawsuit, but at least 2 dropped out during the proceedings. Over the years, fans have wondered why the lawsuit was not filed against the WWF, who purchased WCW. The reason is the WWF's purchase of WCW was what was known as an asset-only purchase. The Business Dictionary defines an asset purchase as an agreement between buyer and seller to acquire an organization's assets. In an asset purchase, only specified assets transfer ownership from seller to buyer. Assets must be retitled to the new owner, who has the ability to determine which liabilities will be assumed. As long as the asset purchase was made for ample consideration, i.e. a fair price, no liability need be assumed unless the purchaser chooses to do so. Thus, the WWE was not liable for the lawsuit as its purchase price was deemed fair. There were several points to the case. One is that WCW denied equal treatment to African American wrestlers in terms of employment, salary, and other contract terms. Part of this was that African Americans were underrepresented in WCW, and those employed did not get the same opportunities as other wrestlers. The case also involved allegations that WCW had a pay disparity between white and non-white wrestlers, fewer merchandising opportunities for minority wrestlers, and constant negative portrayal of minority wrestlers in storylines. There were also allegations of a racial discrimination backstage and a hostile workplace environment for minority employees. Some of the allegations made include: Number 1. Hispanic wrestlers were fired en masse for no apparent reason. According to a statement by Conan, the number of Hispanic wrestlers on the WCW roster dropped from 15 to 3. Consider this 1999 interview with Vince Russo. Note, Russo had not started working for WCW yet. I'm gonna tell you something right now that you will absolutely not agree with, but I've been a wrestling fan my whole life and I will live and die by this. It is hard enough, believe me, I write this. It is hard enough to get somebody over. You will never ever see the Japanese wrestler or the Mexican wrestler over in American mainstream wrestling. And the simple reason for that is, even myself, I'm an American. And I don't want to sound like a big bigot or a racist or anything like that, but I'm an American. If I'm watching wrestling here in America, I don't give a shit about a Japanese guy. I don't give a shit about a Mexican guy. I'm from America, and that's what I want to see. Now, there are smart fans that love that type of shit, like you. Russo was employed for at least part of the time of the mass firings of Hispanic workers, and Russo's name would come up several times in plaintiff's complaint. Number 2. There was also a claim of unequal treatment. Wrestler Conan alleges he and Billy Kidman both contemplated leaving WCW, but chose not to. Conan states WCW suspended him while they did not suspend Kidman. Number 3. A fake Chinese menu was posted in an office cafeteria with racist so-called joke items on the menu, such as "come too soon" and "f me slow." WCW reportedly defended itself by arguing Asian worker Sonny Ono laughed at the menu. Ono denied he found the menu humorous and said his laugh was hope it was to make positive change in the WCW work environment. Number 4. Allegations were made that WCW's Human Resources Department ignored complaints about racial discrimination. Sonny Ono and Ernest Miller reportedly brought up complaints over a parody segment where Buff Bagwell wore blackface to parody Miller and another wrestler wore a Halloween mask of an Asian to parody Ono. Reportedly, nothing was done about the segment. Number 5. Then there was an infamous angle, and we've discussed this in a previous video, where WCW was going to book Booker T and Stevie Ray as chained prisoners and manager Colonel Parker as their owner. WCW came to its senses and scrapped the angle, but it's arguable it was a reflection of management's mindset. Number 6. Sonny Ono alleged WCW had no Asian employees, pointing out that while he shared similar duties as Jimmy Hart, i.e. serving an on-screen role as well as office duties, Hart, who was white, was classified as an employee, while he was classified as an independent contractor. Ono noted there were no Asian employees at WCW, only independent contractors. Independent contractors do not receive the same treatment and benefit as employees, such as potential benefits being retirement plans and health insurance. And number 7. Numerous allegations concerning a hostile work environment for minorities. There were allegations made of people in management using racist slurs and discriminatory treatment that had a negative impact on workplace morale. Consider this summary from a 2000 article. WCW's bookers and writers still commonly refer to minorities with derogatory names. Asians are Japs and blacks According to Icta and other wrestlers, including one white man who had been with WCW for more than 2 years but left recently and asked not to be named. Citing another racist incident, the white wrestler reports that a black wrestler's stage name was changed without his consent by WCW writers. Instead of the name he had chosen for himself, the black wrestler found himself named after a gorilla in an Atlanta zoo. Things like that to them were just jokes like they do all the time, the white wrestler says. One of the guys thought it was funny. Whatever your opinion on whether any or all of these allegations rise to the level of racial discrimination, much more would be raised in the lawsuit. Join us next time as we look at the detailed claims made in the lawsuit, the defenses raised, and the outcome of the lawsuit. If you enjoyed the episode, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.